Hey Floppies, you've made it to part 3 of the introduction to ABC Warriors, the core game. And look at that, we've made it to ranged attacks. To kick things off, they give this lovely ranged attack action summary. Right, ranged attack. Restrictions. In order to make a ranged attack, the model must have a target. The target has to be within range of the weapon. You have to be able to see it, and it has to be in your fire arc. That makes perfect sense. When you take a ranged attack with a model, you nominate a target model on the tabletop and state what weapon is being used by the firer. You check range and line of sight. You then check your fire arc. General fire arcs are as followed: a pistol, front; stormer, front; long gun, focused front; any weapon using aimed fire, focused front. So let me grab a model. We can make sense a bit more. We'll use Mongrel as he is on my desk. So imagine we're shooting with Mongrel, and let's pretend he's got a pistol or a stormer. Anything in his front arc is going to be anything in the front 50% of his base, so he can see this section. If it was a long gun or aimed fire, you kind of do that. Basically plan on the head. Think of the head. Whichever way he's going, you get a 90-degree angle for focus fire or 50% forward. Simple, right? Right, we got that. Let's move on. Check the line of sight. Can you actually see it? What is a straight line from the shortest distance between the two models? Is there terrain in the way? Is there stuff in the way that's taller than the model being targeted? Is technically the model blocked? If you can't see it, you can't shoot it. It's quite simple. If you can see it, but there's terrain in the way, they will get extra modifiers when coming to hit, or more likely in defense, I believe. So hitting a target, shoot modifiers, weapon range modifiers. Every weapon has modifiers. It's part of the card. You'll see it when you're looking at stats. I'll pop one up now. There we go. As you can see, there's different stats on a weapon. For every extra weapon being fired, we covered this the other day, you get +1 to hit. Target is a large model, i.e. a vehicle, or it's mounted, or it's mongrel, and it's +1 to hit. It's easy to hit. If the target is moving fast, i.e. running, -1 to hit. Attacker is within close range, i.e. you should be actually punching them and not shooting them, -1. Now you have a pool of dice. You roll it, you need to score hits. Hits are what are important. Nothing else matters at that stage. If any of your shooting stats reach 0, you can't shoot the model. There's no point. This game does not have heroes. I know in certain games, if you roll a 6, it's always a hit. If you roll a 20, it's always something special. This game does not do that. If you are at 0, you cannot be a hero. Right, onto some new rules. Robots, metal fatigue. Now, metal fatigue has been covered in previous games, and it's known as pinned when it's to do with humans. So I'm going to read the Floppies bit, which is the human part. That is from the Judge Dredd. We should know this rule already. And then we'll go through how it's changed for the robots. So, a human. If the total number of hits rolled by a ranged attack equals higher than the floppy target's cool stat, it is pinned in addition to any other results. When a model is pinned, you place the explosion marker next to it. When a model with a pinned marker activates, roll combat dice equal to its cool stat to remove the pinned marker. Any specials rolled remove the marker with no further effect. If the roll is unsuccessful, the activating model must use a single action, shake it off, to remove the pin. Multiple pinned markers cannot be applied to a floppy. It can only ever have one in-game. Super simple. Gets one, is pinned. Robots, on the other hand, get what's known as metal fatigue. When they suffer the first one, you put the explosion marker next to the model. That's it. Doesn't do anything. It's just next to the model. But when it gets attacked next, the attacking player may opt to remove the marker to give their weapon +1 power. So you got to think of it along the idea of you've been shooting at this robot, it's took a dint, and now you're kind of targeting it with your weapon. If your opponent uses it to get the +1 power, you remove the marker from the model. Robots, differently to humans, can have multiple metal fatigue markers. If they get another one, they then suffer -1 to their cool stat until they get down to just 1 marker again or less. The attacking player may choose to take markers off to gain +1 power. This is how it's changing. So these are used to actually hurt the robots, and it's a great way for taking down tough robots. Metal fatigue markers can only be removed one at a time using the shake it off action action or by the opposing player using them to boost the power of hits, but otherwise they are permanent on the model. That's a little bit different from Judge Dredd, but not a huge amount, just enough. So a pin on a human will slow them down if they can't get the 2000 ADs on their turn, or on the robots, it can cause them to get injured easier. Once you've done all that, the target model has a chance to dodge the incoming hit by rolling combat dice equal to its evade stat. Now, as we've seen with the robots, their evade is pretty low, so this is probably not something you'll see much of, but you get to roll dice equal to it. If you're being shot by a flame weapon, -1 dice. If it's a blast weapon, +1 dice. That means if you're blasting at anything, even if their evade 0, they will get +1 to dodge. If the model is successful and dodges an incoming hit, the owner player can move the model 3 inches in any direction and change its facing as desired. Note, the bigger blast weapons, you still don't escape the blast, you just get to move a bit away from the center of it. Resisting hits. If the hit isn't dodged, it has a chance to harm the target. The attacker rolls a number of combat dice equal to the weapon's power stat to determine the power of the hit. If you're using the metal fatigue as discussed, you get +1 dice. You are looking for hits. Armor and special results have no effect unless the special dice has a special rule attached to it. A little bit confusing, but it makes sense in game. You total up the number of hits rolled for the power of your attack. The target model then rolls combat dice equal to its resist stat, looking for the armor symbols. If the attacker is using 2 or more weapons, you get +1 to resist. If the target is in light cover, +1 to resist. If the target model is in heavy cover, +2 to its resist. If you're being shot in the back, -1. Right, damage. So we'll go for a quick example. I've rolled 4 power, you've rolled 3 defense, 4 - 3 equals 1. You get an injury marker. Simple as that. Or in this case on a robot, you get the leak. Now, these will add up. They all have special results. This is more going to be seen during in-game, but a quick rundown. No effect. It does exactly what it says. There is no effect. Stun result. You can have multiple stuns on a target. The only way to get rid of a stun is to use Shake It Off. Similar to a pinned, but these are harder to remove. Leaks, you get 1, 2, or 3 leaks, depending on what you've done, and very similar for injured. They work pretty much the same way, but a leak, you place 1, 2, or 3 markers on the model. This represents a loss of motor power, be it electrical, atomic, hydraulic, or even good old oil. It affects your stats. So, move and resist are reduced by 1 each for each leak marker it currently has. A model with a move of 0 can only turn in place. So that's a big difference. Injured on a floppy, very similar, but all the stats on the model are reduced. That is the difference between the two. Leaks and injuries accumulate on a model beyond a certain point. The model will be down for the count. On robots, if you've got enough stunned and leaks on your model that is greater than your starting resist stat, the model is down, meaning it is inactive except for basic self-repair protocols. To reactivate a downed robot, you put a star chip on it and you have to pass a cool check. Roll a number of combat dice equal to the model's cool stat, modified by stuns and metal fatigue. If any specials are rolled, the test is passed. If the test is passed, the down model may attempt to self-repair. Use Shake It Off actions to remove stuns or hunkered down double action to remove the leak. No other actions can be chosen until the model reduces its leak stun markers below its resist stat. Various cards can actually help you as well. It may be preferable to finish off a downed robot by using extreme measures rather than watch it reactivate. A robot model must accumulate leaks equal to twice its resist stat to be rendered incapable of reactivation. So if you really want a model to not come back, you just got to keep pounding it with fire. Floppies, on the other hand, are a little bit different. Once it's down, they are rendered unconscious or dead and are out of the game. Down floppy models don't put actionable star chips back in the bag and can take no action. Various cards, some skills may bring them back, i.e. like medikits or whatever. Cover. The general rule for cover is nice and simple. If the attacker's line of sight crosses any other kind of cover, the defender gains light cover. So here, top photo, hammersteins are behind light cover. Ping! Light cover. He's shooting over it. It's light cover. If the defender is touching a piece of terrain, the attacker's line of sight, the defender gains heavy cover instead of light cover. So in the second picture's example, the guy on the bike shoots at the guy who stood next to the wall. The guy at the wall gets cover. But if the guy at the wall shoots at the bike, there's no cover because he is against the wall. He can't claim extra cover for it. In the third example down here, the hammerstein is completely behind cover. The G-main can't see him. The photo's a bit weird. It's hard to actually see what the models can see. In theory, they can't see him. It's taller than the model they're shooting at. It's taller than them. No line of sight. They can't shoot because of the cover in the way. Heavy cover is something that has to be tough. It can't be weak stuff. It can't be like, you can't be hiding behind cardboard boxes to get it, or a plant or a shrubbery. It has to be something worthwhile, deserving of hard cover. Maybe discuss it with your opponents before a game starts, so there's no confusion on that front. And then we are into close combat, which will be the next section of this 4-part section. I think that's probably going to be it. Close combat will be the last section. If you've got questions, please reach out, ask them. I've been getting a few, which is wonderful. So far, nobody's corrected anything I've said in this series, so that's also great for me. But let me know. Let me know if there's something you want. Let me know if there's something you want me to go over, and hopefully we will start doing some starter games of ABC Warriors on the channel as well. If you want to support me, there is a little join button down there now. It's next to the subscribe, I think. It costs like $2 Canadian. It buys me a cup of coffee, keeps me going, and I truly appreciate it if you want to join. It will also add you to the Discord, where we've got a few members now that are sharing their photos, and I will also share the Coffee Club member screen right now. Bing! As always, I truly appreciate you stopping by. Cheers for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Oh boy.